Shalom Israel. Before I start, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Wahara Kadash, double honors to the elders and apostles in Israel, the rule and teach well, the Akims and the Iris and buyers and those pushing videos in truth and sincerity, to the brothers and sisters in the truth. Now this is an article out of the Eretz media paper, online media. I believe this is a Jewish paper. I'm not too sure. But this was something one of the brothers posted, and it says here, Israel orders 45 black Hebrew Israelites to leave country in 60 days. It says the community started to come together in the 1960s in Chicago, subscribing to a theology promulgated by Ben Carter, a black Baptist who changed his name to Ben Ami Ben Israel. Now it says subscribing to a theology. We're not saying that we're these people because of some theology, some idea that sounds good. We actually believe in the scriptures, and when you read the scriptures, go through the prophecies in the scriptures, and look at history, it proves that we are these people. So this is why we say we are the people. We're not saying that because it sounds good. We're saying that because we can prove we are the people. It says 45 members of the Black Hebrew Israelite community recently received letters from the Interior Ministry ordering them to leave the country within 60 days after they had sought to regularize their residency status in Israel. Many of them have lived in Israel without any legal status for more than 20 years, including people who were born in Israel. So it says they lived in Israel without any legal status. Well, these brothers and sisters that's having to leave, they do have a legal status. They have ownership to the land because it was passed down to us. It was given to us, I should say, from the Most High. Now this is Genesis 13 and 14. And the Lord said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, lift up now thine eyes and look from the place where thou art northward and southward and eastward and westward. For all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. So these people in the land, they have a right to the land. And there's a reason why we're not currently in the land. It says, and I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it and in the breadth of it, for I will give it unto thee. So that land was given to us as a people. So those that's there, they have a right to it. They're not, as it says here, lived in Israel without any legal status. But as mentioned, there's a reason why we're not in the land. It says, dozens of other members of the community have submitted similar requests that are still being examined. But given that all of the statusless community members have similar characteristics, they aren't expecting the decision on their applications would be any different. And like I said, we're only statusless because, we've transgressed the Most High. And by doing that, he's kicked us out of the land. It says, I was born here, raised here, was educated here, and I don't know any other place in the world. It says, Yelital Erkels 22, whose parents are without status as well. This is my home. Why should I have to leave my home, she said. And there's going to come a time where we're going to be brought back into that land. The prophecies prophesy that the Most High is going to gather us from where he has scattered us and put us back in the land. But this is not that time. So as it stands, those that's actually taking claim to the land, they're in a position to kick us out, because we've transgressed against the Most High. According to the Interior Ministry Population and Immigration Authority, the community often referred to as Black Hebrews. It comprises some 2,000 people who live primarily in Dimona, though there are small communities in Yeruam, Mitzpah, Ramon, Arad, Tel Aviv, and Tiberias. The community claims they are far more numerous. The community started to come together in the 1960s in Chicago, subscribing to a theology promulgated by Ben Carter, a black Baptist who changed his name to Ben Ami Ben Israel. And like I said, this ain't no theology or theory. This is facts that we are these people. While they started settling in Israel in the late 90s, it was only during the late 90s that while they started settling in Israel in the late 60s, 1960s, it was only during the late 90s that the state began granting them residency status. And they're granting our people something which the Most High granted us. It says the community gave state authorities a list of all community members. Those who had been in Israel at least a decade got a work permit, which then became temporary residency, then permanent residency, and then at times citizenship. And it's going to come a time where we're going to have that permanent residency again and not being able to be kicked out by no one. The rightful owners of the land will be back in the land. Says in 2003, the remainder of the existing community were granted permanent residency. Those who served in the IDF could also obtain citizenship for themselves and their families without giving up their US citizenship. Today, the community is comprised of citizens, residents, and those with no status. It says no status, the latter being people who were not on the list submitted to the state at the end of the 1990s, and their children. Raphael, who is coordinating efforts to get these people officially recognized, said there are more than 100 people without status, while the state's immigration agency says there are only a few dozen. And he's trying to get us officially recognized. The Most High is going to be the one that puts us back in the land, and then we will be officially recognized, and that will be a permanent recognition. Raphael says that 4 years ago he submitted to the Interior Ministry a list of the community members without legal status after he appealed to the agency on their behalf. A few years passed and they didn't do anything with it until I approached them again last year and they asked me to resubmit the list. So, we're actually going to the oppressor to try and get back something which the Most High tells us is going to give us anyway. It says, in a written response, the Population Immigration Authority said that community members in Dimona received permanent residency status for humanitarian reasons 17 years ago by a decision of the then Interior Minister. It's like they're doing you a favor, like they're not doing us no favor. We just have to suffer the consequences of being spewed out of the land for our misbehaving. It says, and not in the framework of any particular law. When the decision was made and their status in Israel was regularized, a list was drawn up of community members and their leaders, and whoever was on it indeed became a permanent resident. Applications made years afterward are examined on a case-by-case basis, and anyone asked to leave has in practice been living in Israel illegally for many years. Now, we're not the ones that's illegally in that land. We're the rightful owners of that land. But like I said, due to our misbehaving, us going off, we can't stay in the land. But this is Zechariah 9:6. It says, a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, and I will cut off the pride of the Philistines. So those that's actually claiming to be the people of the land, the scriptures refers to them as a bar steward. I'll put it that way for polite sake. That's who is actually claiming stake as being the owners of the land. Yeah. Now this is Leviticus 20:22. It says, "You shall therefore keep all my statutes and all my judgments and do them, that the land whether I bring you to dwell therein, spew you not out." So because we chose to go against what the Most High said, now our people are in a position where they've been seen as stateless, can be kicked out of their own land. Yeah, Leviticus 20:22, "You shall therefore keep all my statutes and all my judgments and do them, that the land whether I bring you to dwell therein spew you not out." So it's lucky, so that's the one I just read, but that's not the one I pressed. Leviticus 18 and 26, you shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, and shall not commit any of these abominations, neither any of your own nation, nor any stranger that sojourneth among you. So when we're going into the land, actually I start 25, and the land is defiled. Yeah, this is when these other nations was in there. Therefore I do visit the iniquity thereof upon it, and the land itself vomiteth out her inhabitants. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, and shall not commit any of these abominations, neither any of your own nation, nor any stranger that sojourneth among you. For all these abominations have the men of the land done, which were before you, and the land is defiled. And once again, the land is now defiled. It says the land spew you not, that the land spew not you out also when you defile it, as it spewed out the nations that were before you. So therefore now we chose to disregard everything that the Most High said, to the point where we're following these other nations. And now we're in a situation where, as the rightful owners of the land, we're being deemed illegal aliens in the land. This is 2nd Ezra, chapter 2, verse 1. It says, thus saith the Lord, I brought this people out of bondage, and I gave them my commandments by men, servants, and prophets, whom they would not hear, but despised my counsel. And nothing ain't really changed. Same thing today, brothers go out trying to tell our people, look, come back to the covenant, man. Yeah, come back to the counsel that the Most High has given us. It says, the mother that bare them saith unto them, go your way, ye children, for I am a widow and forsaken. And that's talking about the land. Let me quickly get a freeze there. I believe Galatians 4:26, it says, but Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all. So, going back to 2nd Ezra, chapter 2, it says, chapter 2 and 2, the mother that bare them saith unto them, go your way, ye children, for I am a widow and forsaken. I brought you up with gladness, but with sorrow and heaviness have I lost you. For ye have sinned before the Lord your power, and done that thing that is evil before him. And that's what we was reading in Leviticus. Don't break the commandments and the statutes, so that the land don't spew you out. But what shall I do? What shall I now do unto you? I am a widow and forsaken. Go your way, O my children, and ask mercy of the Lord. So lucky, and this is what we have to be doing, man. Asking the Most High for mercy, repenting, coming back to the law, statutes, and commandments, coming back to faith in our power, coming back to obedience in our power. It says, as for me, O Father, I call upon thee for a witness over the mother of these children, which would not keep my covenant, that thou bring them to confusion. Yeah, now we're in a state of confusion, in a state of shame, being kicked out of a land that you've been living in for some time now, being deemed stateless and all of this. Yeah, this is all shame being brought upon us. It says that thou bring them to confusion and their mother to a spoil. Yeah, because we're not the rightful owner of that land anymore. That land is now being spoiled by other nations, another people claiming to be us, that there may be no offspring of them. Let them be scattered abroad among the heathen, which is what happened for us through captivity. We are scattered amongst these other nations. Hence, the prophecy says that the Most High is going to gather us from these nations and put us back in the land. Let their names be put out of the earth, because right about now, we're not even being recognized as the people of the book. Yeah, it's been called, they claim to be the people by some theology. It's not no theology. We are actually those people. Says, let them be scattered abroad among the heathen. Let their names be put out of the earth, for they have despised my covenant. And that's what it goes back to, man. Us despising the covenant, Salakia, there's consequences that comes with that. Woe be unto thee, Ashur, thou that hidest the unrighteous in thee. O thou wicked people, remember what I did unto Sodom and Gomorrah, whose land lieth in clods of pitch and heaps of ashes. Even so also will I do unto them that hear me not, saith saith the Almighty Lord. Thus saith the Lord unto Esdras, tell my people that I will give them the kingdom of Jerusalem. So if we repent, this is what we're going to receive. It's there being prepared for us. But we have to work our way back to the kingdom, like it says in Second Esdras chapter 7, I believe. It says, which I would have given unto Israel. Their glory also would I take unto me, and give these the everlasting tabernacles which I had prepared for them. They shall have the tree of life for an ointment of sweet savour. They shall neither labour nor weary. So in that day when the Most High brings us back into the land, we will have rest, and we will be in that land permanently. Let's check this out. Second Ezra 7 and 6. It says, there is also another thing. A city is builded and set upon a broad field, and is full of all good things. The entrance thereof is narrow. Because before Adam transgressed, that entrance was wide, man. We was living life. We was gods upon this earth. So the entrance thereof is narrow, and is set in a dangerous place to fall, like as if there were a fire on the right hand, and on the left and a deep water. And only one path between them both, even between the fire and the water, so small that there could but one man go there at once. If the city now were given unto a man for an inheritance, if he never shall pass the danger set before it, how shall he receive his inheritance? And our people don't want to repent. They want to be in the kingdom, but they don't want to do what they have to do to reach that kingdom. But that kingdom is coming back to us, to those who are of the elect, who actually repent. Now this is Micah 4 and 8. And thou, O tower of the flock, the stronghold of the daughter of Zion, unto thee shall it come, even the first dominion. The kingdom shall come to the daughter of Jerusalem. And with the kingdom, we're going to be put back in that land, in our rightful position as the owners of that land. Daniel 7 and 18 says, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. So there's not going to be in that time when we get back the land, no one telling us about how, you're statusless. No, man. The Most High is going to put us back in that land. He's going to gather us, as he says. And there's numerous scriptures letting you know that. So I'm just going to close with this. Isaiah 11 and 11. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time, because the first time was when he delivered us out of Egypt, to recover the remnant of his people, because only a few of us that's going to repent, not 1/3 out of the whole nation, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Paphros, because we've been spewed out and scattered amongst these other nations. It says, and from Paphros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar, from Amath and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nation, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. So that time is coming, and we can see from the signs that's happening around us that it's only a matter of time before Yahweh sends his son Yahweh Shai to gather us from the four winds where we've been scattered and bring us home into that land, man. Let me just do one more precept. It says Ezekiel 20 and 34. It says, and I will bring you out from the people, and will gather you out of the countries wherein ye are scattered, with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out. So the Most High is coming back, man. He's sending back Yahweh Shai, I should say, to gather his people from where we were scattered, and we were scattered to the four winds. So this is why our people are now in this situation here. Coming back to this article, come back to this article. Israel orders 45 black Hebrew Israelites to leave country in 60 days. Yeah, 60 days, 2 months. Yeah, the rightful owners of the land is being kicked out because the land is still spewing us out. We're in the midst of sin, man. As a people, we chose to follow these other nations, and this is the result of it. And the judgment comes down upon all of us, just like the blessing is going to be upon the elect. But right about now, the judgment is on all of us. So with that, I'm going to close out. I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Waharaka Kadash, Kwame Sha'Allah.